I want to start today by painting a picture. It's a scenario that I think is going to feel uh, painfully, almost visibly familiar to a lot of people listening right now.
Oh, I'm a feeling I know exactly where you're going with this. It's the universal nightmare for language learners.
Okay, so picture this. You're in a conversation. Maybe it's just a casual chat. Maybe it's a high-stakes meeting. Someone asks you a question in English,
Right.
and instantly your brain just lights up. You know the answer. You have the perfect sentence constructed right there in your mind. The grammar's flawless, the vocabulary sophisticated. It's all there.
It's locked and loaded. You are
Yeah,
ready to go.
exactly. But then you go to open your mouth to actually, say it, and it's like a traffic jam.
Nothing comes out.
The words get stuck, you stumble, maybe you stutter a little bit, or you end up using a much simpler, clunkier sentence than the one you had in your head.
And you walk away just thinking, why? I knew that. Why couldn't I say it?
It's that classic disconnect, right? That frustrating gap between your mental competence, what you know, and your physical performance, what you can actually produce.
And frankly, what we're looking at today, it is one of the most discouraging parts of learning a language. It really
It
is.
makes you feel like you're not smart enough or that you just haven't studied hard enough. You start doubting your memory.
Hmm.
But, and this is where it gets really interesting, for today suggests we're looking at this problem completely wrong. We're treating that traffic jam as a mental failure.
Right. We assume, oh, I just need to memorize more words, or I need to drill more grammar rules. We treat it like an academic problem.
Like if we just cram more data into the hard drive, the output will suddenly be smooth.
Exactly. But this argues that English isn't just a mental puzzle to solve, it's a physical sport.
That is the big shift.
It is, which comes from this great guide on muscle memory and fluency. It puts forward a really fascinating idea. It says, stop treating English like a textbook subject.
Like history or math.
Exactly. Stop treating it like something you just need to understand conceptually and start treating it like going to the gym.
I love that. Treating it like the gym. So the mission today is to figure out how we stop obsessing over our brains and start training our mouths.
Precisely. If you want to speak fluently, you have to train the physical machinery of speech. You can read every book in the world on how to do a push-up, but until you get on the floor and actually push, you won't build any muscle.
And language is surprisingly similar.
It's almost identical in that respect.
So let's unpack that, because I think for a lot of people, the idea that language is physical sounds a little abstract. We think of language as just thoughts, as data.
Not movements.
Right.
But it feels that way because we're so used to our own native language, it's effortless. But if you break it down to the physiology of it, speech is entirely mechanical. It involves your tongue, your lips, your jaw, your breath control. These are all body parts. And just like any other body part, they have muscle memory. Or, to be a bit more scientific about it, they have specific articulatory settings.
Articulatory settings. That sounds very technical.
It's just a fancy way of describing the default position your mouth rests in and the specific pathways your muscles use to make sounds. And this leads us to the mother tongue trap.
Okay, that sounds ominous. What's the trap?
Well, think about it. The reason speaking English feels so difficult, even when you know the words, isn't because you lack intelligence. It's because your mouth muscles are, quite literally, trained for your native language. They've spent your entire life, decades, maybe moving in a very specific set of patterns.
That makes so much sense. It's like if you've spent 20 years learning to play the piano and then someone suddenly hands you a violin.
Yes, that's a perfect analogy.
You know the music, you know the notes, but your hands have no idea what to do?
You have the theory, but none of the mechanics. And every language requires a different choreography for the mouth. Some specific English sounds that are notorious for this.
Let me guess. The T8 sound.
The T8, the V, the R, the W, all of them.
Oh, the T is a nightmare for so many people. I've heard friends struggle with that for years.
It is, and for good reason. Think about the mechanics of it. In many languages, you would never, ever stick your tongue between your teeth to make a sound.
It feels weird.
It feels unnatural, maybe even a little vulnerable. So if your native language doesn't have that movement, your muscles literally don't have the memory of how to do it efficiently.
So when you try it in a real conversation, your mouth just feels clumsy. It's tripping over itself.
Exactly. And that physical discomfort is what creates the hesitation.
It's not that you forgot the word.
No, it's that your mouth is fighting the movement, which makes your brain panic a little, and that leads to the stumble.
That is a huge relief to hear, honestly. It's not a brain failure, it's a muscle failure.
It's like trying to lift a heavy weight with a muscle you've never exercised before. So the solution is very straightforward, though not necessarily easy.
And that is.
Fluency comes from movement, not from thinking. You cannot think your way into better pronunciation any more than you can think your way into running a marathon.
You have to put in the miles.
You have to move the weight.
Okay, so if we accept that we need to hit the gym for our mouths, what's the workout? Because I can't exactly do squats with my tongue.
Right. So really specific techniques to build this muscle memory. And the first one is maybe the most obvious, but it's also the most neglected.
What is it?
You have to speak out loud every single day.
Now, I have to jump in here. It
Yeah.
makes a really specific point about this. It says you can't just whisper it, and you certainly can't just say it in your head.
Absolutely non-negotiable. This goes right back to the gym analogy. Whispering or mental practice is like going to the gym and just, looking at the weights.
You might understand how they work, but you're not building any muscle.
None. And the volume matters because of the mechanics. To build muscle memory, you have to engage the vocal cords, the diaphragm, the full range of motion. When you whisper, you're actually restricting all of that.
So you're not getting the full workout.
Not even close. Plus, there's the auditory feedback loop. Your brain needs to hear the sound coming out of your mouth at full volume to calibrate whether you're doing it right.
That is so true. Inside my head, I sound like a news anchor.
We all do, because your imagination has no accent.
But I can hear the listener asking, okay, but speak to who?
If I'm alone in my apartment, who am I supposed to talk to?
That's the hurdle. But you talk to yourself. Technique called narration. That's exactly what it sounds like. You narrate your own life as it happens.
I love this idea, even if it sounds a little crazy. So I'm just walking around my kitchen, literally announcing my actions.
Yes, I am making tea.
Whoa.
The water is hot. I feel tired today. Where is the spoon? Ah, there it is.
It sounds so mundane. It is. But think about what you're doing. You're removing all the social pressure. There's no one there to judge your grammar or your accent. You're creating a safe space to focus purely on the mechanical act of making the sounds.
It's like shadowboxing before a big fight.
Exactly. You're getting the movements down so that when you're in a real conversation, the muscles already know the path. You're turning a conscious effort into an unconscious reflex.
Okay, so that's the solo workout. But brings up another technique that it calls a powerhouse for fluency. It's called shadowing.
Ah, yes. Shadowing.
Now, I've heard of this, but I think a lot of people do it wrong.
Most people do. Shadowing is fascinating because it forces you to stop being a student and just become a copycat.
So how does it actually work in practice? People confuse this with just listening and then repeating, right?
Yeah, that's the common mistake. The real technique is simple, but it requires intense focus. You listen to a clear English speaker, a podcast like this one, a YouTube video, whatever, and you repeat what they say almost at the exact same time.
So not listening to a whole sentence, pausing, and then repeating.
No, and that is the key nuance. It has to be immediate. You're practically stepping on their toes. You are their echo, maybe delayed by just half a second.
And it's not just the words.
Absolutely not. That's the most important part. You are copying the speed, the tone, the rhythm, the emotion. If their voice goes up, your voice goes up. If they pause, you pause.
Why is that so much more effective than, say, just reading a transcript out loud?
Because language isn't just data, it's music. It has a cadence. When you shadow, you bypass that grammar brain that wants to analyze everything. You're moving too fast for it.
So it forces your mouth to just move naturally.
In sync with a native pattern. It is the fastest way to adopt the natural flow of English that no textbook can ever teach you.
It's so true. You can study grammar for 10 years and still sound, robotic. Shadowing seems like the antidote to that.
It helps you internalize the melody of the language. You stop sounding like a translation machine and start sounding like a person.
Now, speaking of melody and flow,
Argues the exact opposite.
so what's the reality then?
The reality is that fast speaking often just hides mistakes. It creates these mushy sounds. When you rush, you don't finish your words, you slur consonants, you lose clarity.
The sort about this.
It does. It says confident speakers are not fast. They are clear.
That's something to write down. Confident speakers are not fast. They are clear.
Think about the most powerful public speakers you can imagine. Barack Obama, for instance. Does he rush?
No, absolutely not. He's very deliberate. He takes his time.
Exactly. So the strategy is to intentionally slow down. Slowing down gives your muscles, those untrained muscles we talked about, the time they need to get into the right position.
If you rush a movement you haven't mastered, you'll just trip.
You'll trip, but if you slow it down, you execute it correctly. And that, I assume, connects to repetition.
It does. calls for drilling. And look, I know drilling sounds boring. Nobody likes to do the same thing over and over.
It sounds like homework. It sounds like a punishment.
It really does. But think about a tennis player practicing their serve. They don't hit the ball once and say, okay, got it. They hit it 500 times.
They hit it until their arm knows the motion better than their brain does.
Right. So this suggests picking 5 to 10 simple, useful sentences and just repeating them endlessly.
Can you give us some example? What kind of sentences should you be drilling?
Things like, I'm improving my English every day, or I can speak clearly and confidently, but here's the trick. You don't just say it like a robot. Say it happy, say it angry, say it like you're telling a secret, say it like you're announcing it to a stadium.
Oh, I like that. So you're manipulating the tool. You're testing the full range of the muscles.
Exactly. You repeat them until your mouth can say them without you even thinking about it. That's when you've hit true muscle memory.
I really like the idea of drilling positive affirmations, too. You're sort of training your mouth and your mindset at the same time.
That's a double benefit. You're programming the hardware and the software.
Okay, let's move on to some of the physical hacks. These are things you might not expect to find in a language guide. The first one is smiling.
I know, it sounds like advice from a beauty pageant, doesn't it? Just smile. But there is actually a physiological reason for this.
Okay, unpack that. Why does smiling help my English? It's not just about seeming friendly, is it?
That helps socially, sure, but it's deeper. When you smile, you physically lift your soft palate and retract your cheeks. It changes the shape of your mouth, the resonance chamber.
So it's not just about politeness, it actually changes the acoustics.
Totally. A relaxed mouth produces clearer, brighter sounds. If you're stressed, you clench your jaw and your speech comes out all mumbled and low.
It sounds trapped.
Right. Smiling forces a release of that tension, and it makes your voice sound friendlier, which psychologically makes people more willing to listen.
I'm trying it right now, and you can actually feel your throat open up a bit. It feels lighter. That's a great tip.
And the second physical hack is breathing, which feels obvious. We all breathe, but I guess we don't do it right when we're nervous and trying to speak.
It's the first thing to go when we get nervous. We hold our breath. Or we take these shallow little sips of air into the upper chest.
I do this. When I'm anxious, I realize I haven't actually exhaled in like 30 seconds.
Exactly. And when you speak without enough air, your voice sounds weak, shaky, strained. You get that vocal fry at the end of your sentences because you're running on fumes.
Well, what's the fix?
The fix is to consciously take a breath before you start a sentence. It sounds simple, but it provides all the power behind your voice. It gives you control.
It's like the fuel for the car. You can't drive without gas.
Precisely. And it also buys you a second of thinking time. That little breath is a pause that makes you look thoughtful, not panicked.
So we've covered the physical workout, speaking aloud, shadowing, slowing down, smiling, breathing. But we have to address the mental game, too.
Yes, because there are still mental blocks. And the technique for this, that is, well, it's uncomfortable. It's the vegetable no one wants to eat.
Let me guess. Recording yourself.
Yep. The dreaded recording.
Why do we hate this so much? I cannot stand listening to my own voice. It makes me cringe.
Everyone does. It's a universal human experience. It's actually biological. We hear our own voices through bone conduction in our skulls, so we sound deeper to ourselves. A recording is what we actually sound like to others.
And it's alien.
It feels alien.
Yeah.
But that recording is the only way to get objective feedback.
Because you can't fix what you can't hear.
Exactly. When you're in the middle of speaking, you're too busy thinking about what to say next to notice that you're dropping the S at the end of your words. You're in the game, you can't be the coach.
Listening back lets you be your own coach.
You step out of the game, you can spot the physical stumbling blocks. You have to push through the cringe factor. It's where the growth happens.
Now, there's one more mental rule incredibly powerful. It's a strict prohibition. A phrase we are forbidden from ever using.
Yes. The forbidden phrase, sorry, my English is bad.
I hear this all the time. It's usually the first thing people say.
It's a defense mechanism, right? We say it to lower expectations. We think, if I say I'm bad, they won't judge me when I make a mistake.
Stop saying it. Why is it so damaging?
Because it kills your confidence immediately. It frames the entire interaction around your failure. It tells the listener, I am not good at this. But more importantly, it tells your brain, I am not good at this.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It does. It encourages you to just speak. Mistakes aren't failures, they're training data. If you stumble, you stumble. Keep going.
So what do you say instead?
If you really feel the need to say something, Say thank you for your patience. That is powerful. Sorry is weak.
Thank you for your patience. I love that shift. It implies you're worth waiting for. That's a great flip.
And that connects to the last point about simplicity.
We don't need to use these big, complex sentences to be effective.
No, in fact, that's often where we get tangled up. We try to translate these complex thoughts from our native language directly into complex English.
We try to sound smart, and we end up just sounding confused.
These simple sentences are clear, and clear speech sounds confident. You don't need to be Shakespeare. You just need to be understood.
The message is really empowering. It takes the pressure off your intelligence and puts the focus back on your effort.
That's the beauty of it. It democratizes fluency. It's not about who has the highest IQ, it's about who puts in the reps at the gym.
It moves the goalpost from being perfect to just being trained.
From the frustration of the stuck mind to the liberation of the trained mouth.
Okay, so for everyone listening, here's a quick summary of today's workout plan. Let's recap. Number 1, stop whispering. Speak out loud.
Full volume. Engage the diaphragm.
Number 2, narrate your life to get comfortable with the sound of your own voice.
Make the mundane your training ground.
Number 3, shadow native speakers to find the rhythm and melody. Be a copycat.
Immediate repetition. Don't let your brain get in the way.
Number 4, slow down. Remember, clarity is king, not speed.
Don't rush into your mistakes.
Number 5, smile to relax your muscles.
And remember to breathe from your belly.
And finally, record yourself to find the weak spots. And please stop apologizing for your English.
And just remember that mantra. English fluency starts from the mouth, not from the mind.
It's a process. Some days will feel like heavy lifting. Others, you'll hit a personal best. But as consistency always beats perfection.
Just keep the muscles moving.
Before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final thought to carry with you. We spend so much time worrying about what we're saying, the content, the vocabulary. But what if, for just 1 week, you stopped worrying about the what and focused entirely on the how?
That's an interesting challenge.
If you focus purely on how your mouth feels, on the physical sensation of the sounds, on the breath in your lungs, I wonder how much faster your confidence would grow, simply because you got out of your head and into your body.
It's a shift in perspective that could change everything.
Give it a try. Get to the gym. Thanks for listening to
See you next time.